I believe that God gave us the ultimate formula for success in the very first chapter in the Bible, the very first time he talked to a human, which is kind of mind-blowingly amazing. It's almost like he gave us a wink and said, if you don't get to chapter 2, you're going to be okay, right? And so it says in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? I'm thinking, well, why would he do that? Like, God doesn't need anything, so why even bother, right? You don't need a heaven. You don't need an earth. You don't need a bunch of people doing a bunch of wonky stuff. So why would God create a heaven and the earth? And the only answer I've been able to discover is because he is creative, and therefore it is his nature to create.
Yeah.
Right? So God created everything as an expression of his creativity.
Yeah.
Cool. So the very first thing that God tells us about God is that he's creative.
Yeah.
The first thing he tells us about us is that he created us in his image, which means he created us to create stuff and he made us to make stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first thing God tells us about man. Well, the first thing he says to a human was in Genesis 1:27-28, where it says, and God blessed them and said unto them, be fruitful and do multiply, do replenish, do subdue, and have dominion. So the first command is a fivefold command. Be, do, have. That's the command. That's the success formula. Be, do, have. Which means don't be, can't do, can't have. Be a little, do a little, have a little. Be a lot, do a lot, have a lot. But what most people do, and what's fascinating even about that is the way that he made us. He put inside of us a very insatiable desire to have more, better experiences in this thing called life. Like your desire to be the best is a God-given desire. Your desire, everybody's desire to take a great vacation, to live in a decent house, to wear nice clothes and drive nice cars and have good relationships, those are all God-given desires. God gave us the desire to have so that we would yield to the willingness to do the thing that earns us the right to have it. Our desire to have without the willingness to do is what creates criminals. Like human beings' desire to have without a willingness to do is what creates criminals.
Yeah.
It's what creates wrongdoing towards people. I want to have what they have, but I don't want to do the right thing to get it.
I don't want to earn it.
Right.
Yeah.
However, even people, like when people decide to change their life, that's why they start, okay, I'm finally willing to do the thing that earns me the right to have the stuff. Right?
Yeah.
But they don't realize that just like doing is the seed capital for having, being is the seed capital for doing.
Being is the seed
capital for doing. So being is the genesis. It's what doing springs out of.
Yes.
Right? So we have to focus on the becoming. God is most concerned with us becoming more.
Sanctification.
More like him.
Yeah.
Right? We are concerned with having more. But when we realize and wake up and realize the best way for us to have more is to yield to becoming more, which will automatically make us do more, which will automatically cause us to have more.
Yeah, and this is my whole point when people ask, I'm just like, well, you just need Jesus. Like if you accept Jesus, the next step is you're going to become more like Jesus. And all of these
If you're yielded.
Yeah.
But if you resist, then you're not going to become more like Jesus. Because a lot of people receive Christ, but then they have this internal resistance because they want to hold on to the past as they walk into the future.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
You got to die to your old self.
Yes.
Yeah, and it reminds me too of what you're saying of like, do a little, have a little.
Right.
And it's the whole concept of
but be a little, do a little. Exactly. And so if you think about be, do, have, being addresses my identity.
Mm-hmm.
Doing addresses my activity. Having addresses my property.
So it starts with identity.
Mm-hmm.
Taking identity causes you to take action, and then you
action
have fruit.
Produces property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
And when you think about it, even when Moses asked God, God says to Moses, hey, march into Pharaoh's office, tell him I said, let my people go. Moses asked a question. He says, who shall I say has sent thee? Now, when I first started reading that, I'm thinking, this is the worst question in the history of the world. Surely he can come up with a better question than that, right? In my youth, I'm like so delusional. I'm thinking, bro, I would not ask that question. Like if it were me, Moses. I know you're Moses and everything, and I'm just me. But the question I would ask, what can I tell Pharaoh you said you're going to do if he says no? That would be the question I ask, right? But Moses understands that authority is always an identity issue, right? And so he said, who shall I say has sent you? The answer made less sense than the question to me for decades. Tell him that the I am, that I am, has sent you.
That's part of just the being.
That's right. So God's identity is the ultimate identity. He is the I am, that I am. In fact, even if I am an atheist, I can't tell you who I am without first telling you who he is, because I have to say I am an atheist. So I told you his name before I gave you my identity.
Oh, they ain't gonna like that.
Right? And so God is the ultimate identity.
Yeah.
And that's why when I yield to him and I just trust that I am who he says I am, that's when I know who I am. If I think I am, most people go through life with what I call a lie-identity. Well, what's a lie-identity? It's all the things, all the people around you your whole life told you are not. You're not tall enough, you're not good enough, you're not talented enough, you're not athletic enough, you don't work hard enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough. Who you are is not enough. That is a lie-identity. And it's one of the things that the enemy uses to keep you from tapping into your potential. And what most people do is they attempt to replace the lie-identity with what I call a my-identity. And that's another fake identity that we create to make people think we're more than they made us think we are not. And it's not until I yield to the ultimate identity and trust that I am exactly, no more and no less than exactly who he says I am. So when we realize that we are who he says we are and nobody else, we start operating in that. That's when we can produce fruit that nobody else can produce. That's when we can be at peace. We can stop thinking we have competition. We can stop vying for position.
Yeah.
Because if something's for me, no one can keep it from me.
Yeah.
And if it's not, no one can get it to me. And if they could, I wouldn't want it anyway.